And I guess the first thing I want to ask, I'm sorry for the small and dim picture. Can you see it? Do you want the lights in the back turned off, or what? Is this
Turn them off.
turn the lights in the back off?
Good to be able to see it.
Deborah, I think.
Trouble.
Something like that.
So.
He works for the county.
This is a public, public meeting to talk about the Parkside revitalization plan. Thank you all for coming. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the revitalization plan and what is it. It is a tool that is part of the comprehensive plan and it's a special tool for areas of the county that have been designated as revitalizing areas. Those include community redevelopment areas such as Parkside. And it's used to create special policies to promote the redevelopment of the area. Now, the Citizens Master Plan, you may be familiar with, that was prepared and adopted a couple of years ago. That is not part of the comprehensive plan. It has informed, it has been used to develop the revitalization plan. The revitalization plan is, it's unique to the CRA, meaning the policies that are prepared as part of it apply only to the CRA, to the Parkside community, and they would overwrite any policies in the greater comprehensive plan that would conflict. So if two policies, one in the revitalization plan and one in the general comprehensive plan, say different things, the policy in the revitalization plan takes precedence. So the revitalization plan allows for additional land development policies, land development regulations to achieve the vision of the CRA. So the vision that was established in the Citizens Master Plan gets refined down into the revitalization plan that gets put into the comprehensive plan. Portions of that then get put into the land development, put into the land development regulations so that actual development, actual construction is completed to implement the vision that was established as part of the Citizens Master Plan. And lastly, the revitalization plan allows the CRA to receive revitalizing area planning incentive density. That is density that the county has in reserve that it can award to incentivize certain types of redevelopment in certain areas, such as revitalizing areas.
That's not very clear.
So, as I said, the Parkside revitalization plan, a draft was prepared in late 2012, early 2013. Some of you may have been involved in that, been to those meetings. And you've got a copy of it in the dark. Sorry about that. But as you came in, you got handed a copy of the draft revitalization plan. It consists of one goal, 2 objectives, and 14 policies, 7 policies under each objective. It is, as I said, based upon the Citizens Master Plan. It will be adopted into the county's comprehensive plan, and it will have the same authority as other plan policies. In fact, as I said, if there are 2 policies, one in the revitalization plan and one in the general comprehensive plan, that discuss the same, deal with the same issue, and they might conflict, or the revitalization plan policy takes precedence over the general plan policy. As a quick overview of the goal and the objectives of the policies, the goal is to implement the vision of the Citizens Master Plan, to take what was developed as the master plan and put it into the comprehensive plan. The first objective is to promote a functional mix of uses. to allow, as the motto of the community of Parkside is a great place to, great place to live, work, and play. And mixture of uses allows that to happen more readily. The second objective is to promote safe vehicular and non-vehicular travel opportunities, so a mixture of travel opportunities throughout the community, and to promote an identifiable sense of place. And then we'll go through
What does that mean?
the policies.
Identifiable sense of place.
This is just a quick rundown. The policies under the first objective, which was to create a mixture of uses, is to encourage creative and progressive land uses, including mixed use in the core. The core is the area on your maps in red. So it's this central area between the two canals and runs up to Austin, roughly up to Austin Avenue. Provide the opportunity for a low-intensity commercial development at the Harbor Midway intersection, which is up in the northern side of Parkside.
Matt,
Yes,
isn't Midway and Harbor all residential right now?
it is right now.
I mean,
Yes.
all residential, but
Yes.
you've got purple on the map.
Yes.
With a block that says, put businesses in here.
Well, this is we can discuss that. That was something that came out of the draft plan, and this map is a draft as well. I mean, this is what we're here to talk about. Those are policies that came out of the discussions for the preparation of the plan, and at this point, we're going forward with that. Doesn't mean that stuff can't be changed. It's all draft right now, but that's what was decided through those last meetings. To encourage the redevelopment of the cultural center as a hub for Parkside. Encourage the consolidation of planning bonds for innovative housing redevelopment, including aging in place. Aging in place, if you're not familiar with the concept, it's allowing people to remain in their homes through all stages of life without having to. It encompasses a bunch of different things, including home design, but also community amenities, being close to work, so that and close to support such as medical facilities or schools, all of that, all of those things, so that it's possible. Not everybody has to do it, or not everybody wants to do it, but it's possible to remain in your community for essentially your entire life.
Are we going to have a chance to be discussing these various parts?
Yes, yeah. And actually, there's a meeting in 2 weeks. What I wanted to do, I'm sorry, I should have said this up front, I want to go through this and talk about the policies, talk about which policies can be put into the land development regulations, and then we can have some question and answer. This meeting is not, the object of this meeting is not to come up with the draft land use regulations, but to send you all back with ideas to think about. That's why you have the map, that's why you have the copy of the plan, give you some ideas. And then in 2 weeks at the next meeting, that's when we'll have a deeper discussion about how we do things and what goes in and that sort of stuff.
Will we get copies of this tonight?
Yes, it's available online. It is available, Deborah, it's available at the Economic Development website, and it's available at.
And that's the same thing that was passed out tonight, right?
No,
That doesn't
no.
look like what I've got.
It is available online a couple places.
The presentation itself, if you go to the county's webpage, and on the left-hand side it says CRAs, you get on that page, and then under Parkside, this will be is already posted there along with the plan copy that you have.
If you don't have a computer, can you put it in the newspaper?
Probably not, but we'll try and make it available.
We can take it to the library,
Yeah.
if that works for you, your library that's located here. We can leave some copies up there, if that works for everybody.
So, Matt, question. So, the next session is 2.5 hours as well?
Currently, yes.
Is it anticipated that all this is going to be done in the second session?
No. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I'm anticipating at least one other meeting after that. But at this point, there's no more scheduled right now. But that doesn't mean there won't be more.
Well, as long as we're asking questions right now, might as well put this right out there. Is this like everything else that's been going through the county, the Spring Lake sewers, everything that happens, it's already a done deal, and you give everybody an opportunity to talk and feel good, but no changes get made?
This is not a done deal. So.
Okay, I heard him say it.
Okay, how does this get into quote-unquote law execution?
Right.
How does that happen?
Right. So you've got a copy of the draft. You've got a copy of the draft revitalization
Yeah,
plan.
do I get to vote on that as a resident?
No.
As owner of a resident?
No.
There's a public hearing process. It will go. That's what these.
That's
what
the
these
same as
that's the
Spring Lake
same
sewers
question.
and rate raising for
That's
CCU.
the way the system works. I mean, I can't. That's the
It's
way
a done deal.
the law. No, it's not. This is not written in stone. None of this is written in stone.
Wait a minute.
Neither
You
was the
just
rest
said
of
if
it.
the citizens,
Yeah.
the concerned
We
citizens
don't
that
get
have
that.
vested interests don't have a way to thumbs up or thumbs down some of the things that are in your 7 parts and 7 parts. I'm telling you, this is the same, that's exactly the point she's making. You're ramrodding the county, the commissioners, the administration is ramrodding this.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I mean, Matt has a job to do, it's not his fault.
And I think the one thing you all have to understand is the reason why the Parkside revitalization plan is being discussed and hopefully will be adopted is to provide a mechanism to allow for some increased density, some change of land uses in Parkside. You have a citizens master plan that's adopted as your redevelopment plan. This is a land use tool.
So how many of us are you figured on running into our homes then for
Right.
changing like the Midway intersection?
Who's gonna
I mean, I
pay
have
for
2
that?
words for you, Murdoch Village. Yes.
There's no doing anything like that.
Actually, if you, I'm a building superintendent on Boca Graham. I know this stuff probably better than anybody in here, except maybe this man sitting next to me. If you change for low intensity commercial development at Harbor and Midway, you have to go a couple blocks each way to do that.
Yeah.
A couple of blocks is probably 40 homes. How many, are you going to point at the people in here and say, hey, we're taking your home for this crap?
And the question is, how do the citizens say, no, we don't want this mini business development at Harbor Midway? How do we do that?
You tell me. I mean, no, literally. I don't mean like
I
tell
know,
me how to do
Matt.
it. You're
My
telling
argument
me.
was not-
That's what this is here for you
All right.
to let me know what you want.
Who by
This
name
is done, you
is
have done
driving
with the
this
development of a
thing?
new
I know
development.
Commissioner
Come in and tear people down.
Duffy, okay, is behind, this is her big thing. 36 million this county's gonna dump into Parkside. That's great, that's fantastic. How do we
No, it's
as
gonna
the
come from the-
taxpayers
it's gonna come from
get
us.
to have real input on what, I saw some stuff in here that I'm telling you is, this is draconian, okay? Draconian.
That's what this meeting is for. That's what this meeting is for.
Yeah.
I mean, if you,
Do we have any press here that's recording any of this?
Gary Roberts is back there, but he's with the
So
son.
let's go through, if we could finish
rubber
the
stamp.
presentation, and then we can go through each one of these policies,
Why don't we
each one
just
of
go
the
to that? Why don't we
objectives.
go to those and maybe get some consensus out of the audience? The presentation is words. I read 2 pages here of the draft, okay? And I'm upset with the number of it, okay? It affects me as a landowner.
And let's not forget that redevelopment takes a long period of time. So this is a future vision that you're planning for.
Does that mean I'd be dead then? I mean, I'm not worried about it?
Well, anybody can go at any time, as we all know, so we have to just.
That's not alleviating his feelings.
all of this planning is long-term. The county has no intention of taking anybody's property.
Why? Yes, you do.
No, we
Why don't you? But you're gonna fire.
You did it with Rhode Island.
And it's illegal to do now in Florida.
not
So
through
the
code
county's not going
enforcement.
to do that.
Why don't you find a
Code
big
enforcement.
empty spot of land and do your
Murdoch
little
Village.
plan? Build it the way you want it, where somebody's
We
not
need to do
developed
this
already.
process. There are a lot of people here that want to see this presentation, and then let's go to that. Susan. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but let's stay on track here.
Well, the-
This is going to be more than another meeting, so, let's just move on.
This meeting is not accomplishing anything. Look, I can read.
Well, then leave. If it's not accomplishing anything for you, leave. We're
Okay.
here because we're having a meeting about Parkside, sir. Then they'll have questions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
There will be no questions tonight, sir.
Everybody's calm down, listen up. We have questions later on, we'll resolve all that stuff. Just listen to what the guys got to say and take notes.
Yeah.
So, other policies are about allowing the use of the revitalizing area planning incentive density for innovative housing redevelopment, allow non-conforming uses to be considered conforming underneath new land development regulations, and to maintain and enhance the existing parks and recreation opportunities. The policies under Objective 2, which were to develop vehicular and more enhanced transportation network and a sense of place, include establishing or establishing a rental property ordinance. Yes, supporting the renovation of the existing homes, support heightened code enforcement efforts, work with property owners to provide and developers to provide street tree planning and landscape buffers, to provide a landscape entries to the community, to create complete street standards for rebuilt or reconstructed streets, to maintain streetscape improvements and to explore options for transit systems. And so, how does it get implemented? There it is. So the plan, the land development regulations, other county activities such as code enforcement or street tree planning, that sort of thing. Other private activity such as new development, the improvement of existing facades or that sort of stuff. All of that helps to implement the plan. The Parkside Development Code would be that second item, the land development regulations. These are standards that would get put directly into the county's zoning and development regulations that would implement the plan and the citizens master plan. This is a map that is less than visible. I apologize.
Yes.
These are the various revitalizing neighborhoods that are going to be designated in the plan. And I guess at this point, from here, the next steps or the next slides, we're going to talk about the policies and how they might be implemented in the land development regulations. Not all of the policies that I talked about are appropriate to be put in the land development regulations. So I guess at this point, if there's any other questions of the plan so far. Yes.
What does the phrase identifiable sense of place mean?
Identifiable sense of place is means making a place or having a place that looks different from other places. That it has maybe a unique architectural style. It has unique items within the community that people say, oh, this is definitely Parkside as opposed to other areas of Port Charlotte or Northport or North Fort Myers, that you can tell you're in Parkside as opposed to other places. And
Why don't you say that then? Identifiable sense of place. You want every house is going to look different? Is that what you're saying?
No. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, it could be any number of things. It could be, the county's never going to implement architectural standards for houses. I mean, we're not going to make people have barrel tile roofs or anything like that. But there are. Charlotte Harbor has adopted architectural standards for its commercial development that is in the old Florida style. The idea there is to make Charlotte Harbor stand out different from other places up on 41 or other areas of Charlotte County. It could be plantings. It could be a number of things that make Parkside look different from other places. That's the idea. So that Parkside or any community, just so that it stands out from other places.
Why? Seriously, what?
Why not?
Don't you know?
I mean,
what,
a
why
lot of
make a rule
places it
for
makes it look better.
Why make a rule for it? What say? Make it look better then. Fix it up. Make it look better. Isn't that what homeowners do? They have pride in ownership of their homes.
You're arguing about just the phraseology and
the whole objective seems a little bit.
They just said create a place, that's unique.
Yes.
I don't think it matters. I don't think we have to argue with them about phrasing as much as just the concept.
Different question.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When you said it would be implemented by code enforcement, isn't that just what we're going to replace eminent domain with? Basically, if someone gets hurt and can't mow their lawn, they'll just start fining them for their grass until they take their home away, or what the house looks like, or a little junk around it. And then the fines get so big that the county owns it before they can even catch up. Is that basically what we're talking about with code enforcement?
No, I have not heard the county do anything with that.
How are they going to get the houses away from people? To do this
There's no
stuff.
intention of taking houses away from people.
Well, this plan says there is.
Yeah.
They do that now. They have code enforcement. They have people that go around and tell them that their houses are in bad condition, you have to clean it up.
Yes.
And they take it away.
But have the houses have actually been taken away from people?
I'm sure they have. They had to. They can't pay them. How are they going to pay all those fines? These people are poor, especially in Parkside. There's a lot of people that can't afford $500.
I've heard from my contractors, there's already, because the 50/50 rule, the ego of the 50/50 rule. And this is, I heard from a contractor that the county will make you tear down a house because you went over the 50/50 rule.
Yep.
So that's just about the same. But that's everywhere. That's throughout the state of Florida. That doesn't matter where you go.
Has anybody thought about the people living there?
That's a good question.
Actually, the Citizens Master Plan was made with, everybody wanted to be involved over quite a period of time.
Citizens Master Plan was devised by input from Port Charlotte.
No, actually, we had public,
I
we had
did
public
not
threats.
elect them.
But we're
Port
getting off.
Charlotte and staff, and that came to us at a county commission meeting.
Yeah.
Parkside Parish has a survey that was going around to see what people need. Not what they want, what they need. This is what the county has to do, is provide for the needs of the people. Goodbye. Bye.
My hope is that before any codes are developed, we have a very deep discussion of increasing density.
Yeah.
Because it can mean everything from a very wonderful layout for cooperative housing of older persons to allowing little houses behind other little houses on small lots.
And that's not going to
And that's what the discussion was before. And all that would do, in my view, is create the very same situation that developed with the whole development of our Port Charlotte. And that is, who's going to to buy those houses if the elders die, if they move away, and we just create another problem. So I want to be sure we're not doing any of that if we're going to have some changes and we're going to have intensity. I mean, that word, I have to tell you, scares me because of how it might be used.
There's no intention for the accessory dwelling units, which are the little units behind existing houses. It would only be for mixed-use development that's intended to be in the core. And
Define mixed-use development to me.
mixed use is
Commercial, residential.
commercial residential. It can be either in a single building. I have some photos later on, or it can be on a site. You can have separate buildings with commercial, non-residential, residential uses on the same site, or it can be a mixture of uses in the same building.
So, for example, Midway in Harlem, they're going to take an area, some area, and rezone it from residential to mixed use, right?
Well, that's a question.
That's a zoning change, is it not?
It is a zoning.
Just like this lady's saying, do we want a high-rise somewhere here? I was looking, I think, I got one 4-story condo unit. There going to be any limit to height, like they fought down in K-Bays?
Well, right now, there's no intent to raise existing heights of any,
But as this is drafted into law or ordinance,
Right.
okay, and zoning and so forth, that's what happens, Matt. That's
Well, and-
that's the
and
only
that-
point I'm trying to make.
Well, and I understand that, and the point of having these meetings is that we can get feedback, and if people, if the issue came up and people said, yeah, we don't want anything above 60 feet, which is the existing maximum height for multifamily, then that's what would stay. That would stay in the code. If in the discussions it came out that in certain areas, such as maybe the core, people were okay with going higher than that, and we could discuss the height, then that's what would go into the code.
How do we know that they're not going to take some big company, for example, going to come in and buy a bunch of properties and try to build a factory Parkside?
Factory? Because there's no industrial land in Parkside, and there's no intent to put any industrial land in Parkside.
But how about from a developer, okay, and I've got this mixed use, rezoning now, and I come up with a plan, no different than sewers or in West Spring Lake. It was an atrocity, in my opinion. They ramrodded it through, okay, and it can happen, Matt. You can't control it, and I can't control it if we let this thing go. I would love to be able to vote on every point here, the 7 points and the 7 points of the 2 go to the plan. Up or down, vote each one. Some of them are great. I think it'll do wonders for Parkside. And I would love my tax money to be spent that way, or to get it back through taxes over umpteen years. But some of this other stuff, okay, this grand scheming, if you don't think, I learned at an early age from my father, follow the money. Somebody's going to pick up big bucks out of this. Builders, developers, whatever. And you know who's going to get poo-pooed on, okay? Those poor people are living in those houses in Parkside. A straight up one of those on all your points.
Matt, on that response to that, I'm Ron Horkman, I live over here in Parkside. I don't think a developer wants to come in here and do anything. They got too many other easy projects outside the county.
So ma'am, maybe if you go back to your presentation and get, maybe some of the visuals will help with the discussion.
Okay. So this is the map you've got. The red area is the core area. These are absolutely proposed sub-districts. The lines are not fixed. The core area is mostly the commercial core, the high and medium density residential areas. The quarter mile, the green area is a quarter mile buffer around the core. The purple area at the northern end is the intersection of Harbor and Midway. And the yellow area is the remainder, is intended to be to a residential area. The green is intended to be residential too.
And maybe the reason the quarter mile was picked?
The quarter mile is, generally a quarter mile is a walkable distance to the core. And so that's an area, as we get further in, that's an area that could possibly be eligible for some increased density if certain development standards are met, not building high rises and such, but for multifamily that would be more compatible in scale and look with existing single family homes.
Question.
Yes, sir.
The Parkside has been declared a blighted area, which is an extraordinary step for any municipal or county government to take. And that was based on, if the state law says you're blighted if you meet 2 or 3 criteria. The blight plan said they met, what, a dozen or 14. High crime, high calls for service for medical leave, and on and on and on. Tell me how increasing density in a blighted area reduces blight.
Well, the idea is that it would be redevelopment, would not be these items interact, and the redevelopment of land would get different residents in that would not be inclined to the same activities perhaps that would cause a high crime rate.
Well, I was in law enforcement 30 years in a municipal, in an urban metropolitan setting. Anytime we increased density, crime skyrocketed, and it brought in all its inherent problems. How increasing density in a blighted area reduces blight is beyond me. I've never heard of it.
The redevelopment would ideally not make the area blighted anymore.
I think this is a bigger picture. You know, this is one tool. This is the land development tool. Then there's other things that are going to help implement your citizens' master plans. That includes infrastructure improvements. That includes putting in the multi-use pass. That includes the code enforcement that's ongoing. So this is just one tool. The idea here was to create a walkable destination here in Parkside. So the increased density, just like Tess was saying, that brings an opportunity for different modes of transportation to be used, that allows somebody to live and age in place because they can now walk to the grocery store if they choose to. They can get to the hospital if they choose to. They can get to the doctor's office. So this is just one of a whole menu of opportunities that you have to look at and discuss and come up with the end product that'll help implement that vision. That vision was established back in 2011 when the board adopted the Citizens Master Plan. So we're now just trying to get to the point where land use is just one of those tools, and what's written in the plan helps implement that vision. So today, Matt's going through with what was decided, I guess, in 2012 with the first draft, and as we go through it, you know, we expect to amend some of this because that's what we're having the meeting for. So,
is the plan, it's hard to find current versions of things, but is this current where minimum and maximum density will be changed from 10 dwelling units per acre to 15?
No.
Because this is as revised 6/24/2014. I'm saying a 50% increase in people does not lower blight.
At this point,
it increases problems. It increases calls for service, medical, schools, sewers, you name it.
you know, in the 24 units per acre, to tell you the truth, in today's standards, when you look at other redevelopment areas, that's a very low density compared to what they're doing in other urban areas.
But it may be low for Chicago, but this is for Charlotte. What's the current dwelling units per acre in Parkside right now?
In the majority of the community, it's 3.5 units per acre. In areas, in the condo areas, Around here, it's 15 units per acre.
All right, so we want to go to 15 units per acre.
You already have 15.
You already have 15 units per acre in some of these areas. In fact, some of these condos are actually built, it's allowed at 15 units per acre, and some of the areas are, the buildings are actually built at like 25 or 30 units per
I
acre.
don't have a problem, I'm just trying to understand. It's striking out 10 dwelling units per acre, and not including 15.
That's to make it consistent with what's on the ground, I believe, right?
I mean, you see what you've got there.
Yeah, it's, you said you get on the county's website, it's hard to,
Well, there are, like I said, there are areas, this is out of the regular comprehensive plan. This is not out of the redevelopment plan, the revitalization plan. This is out of the county's general comprehensive plan, and the general high-density residential land use category allows for up to 15 units per acre.
it will,
Yeah.
this change.
It already does. With this, it used to say, that the high-density residential land use allowed between 10 and 15 units per acre. And what this is saying, the change is saying, is it can go from 0 to 15 units per acre.
Just that when you increase density, you have to be so careful, there's so many unintended consequences.
Well, we understand that, and
And I think in the long run, it's up to the residents to decide what their community should be.
And my question is, why would we even need this? I mean, what is wrong with what's already there? The single family homes that are already there, why can't we just fix those up as homeowners rather than have the county redo everything and push tearing down essentially what's already there to build new? What's wrong with the single family homes that are already there? I mean, if we did something like this in Punta Gorda back in the day, down in the nice historic section of Punta Gorda, none of the buildings in Punta Gorda would be that they've all been torn down in favor of new buildings, big high rises. And if we do that here, then Port Charlotte will never have anything like that. People wonder what happened to the original Port Charlotte, the original building in Port Charlotte. Those are gone because we tore them all down in favor of high rises.
well, I think you brought up the point yourself that there's the 50% rule that at a certain point the renovation of buildings requires the whole building to be brought up to code. And many of these over the long term, many of these houses may reach the end of their design life, and at that point they can be redeveloped. But the intent is not to fill Parkside up with high density residential dwellings. I mean, it's not intended to fill it up with apartments or high rises or anything.
What about the buildings in Punta Gorda, the nice historic, or the buildings in Pearl Harbor you mentioned? How long ago they exceed their designers' life years?
And one of your point is taken. One of the policies is also to help renovate the existing houses. I mean, there's a number of tools for redevelopment that we're trying to put together. There's renovation. There is then redevelopment of the. So we're trying to make the whole toolbox available to people, and I mean the.
Yeah, maybe if you go forward and get to some of the photographs that'll help implement some of our vision.
Sure. So out of the 14 policies that are in the revitalization plan, four of them are intended to be brought into to be implemented through the land development regulations. And they are encourage creative and progressive land use concepts, including mixed use in the core, provide the opportunity for low intensity commercial development at Harbor and Midway, allow the use of the rapid density for innovative housing redevelopment, and allow for non-conforming uses to be considered conforming under new land development regulations. And I'll go through each of these, present some questions to you all to think about, and then also have some examples of what I'm talking about in photos and such. So the first one, to encourage creative and progressive land uses, including mixed use. The way to do that is to allow mixed use, allow rezoning to mixed use in the core subdistrict, which is the red area. Right now, it's all zoned commercial, general. I don't think there's any commercial intensive in the core area. There's some what's called office, medical, and institutional, which allow for more service uses. Commercial general allows for a whole range of commercial uses, including retail, offices. The OMI district is a less intensive commercial district, although the hospitals are OMI. Part of this site is zoned OMI. And then, and the core also has some high density, as I said, high density residential land use, where in like across the street and such, where the condos are. But if we, none of that allows a mixture of uses. It all allows only single use. It's either commercial. It's either commercial or it's residential, and if it's commercial, it's certain limitations on what uses. But a mixed-use zoning district can allow for a broader range, as I said, a mixture of non-residential and residential. There's never any industrial or heavy commercial uses allowed in a mixed-use district. That would not be our intent to allow, a lumber yard or anything like that in a mixed-use district. And then the questions are sort of what form of mixed use would you like to see? Would you like to see mixed-use buildings versus mixed-use sites? Would a site have to be a minimum size, or could it just a single lot do it? And what uses would you encourage in a mixed-use district, or would you discourage in such a district? And then are there any other techniques that can be done to encourage that?
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
When you ask these questions, why don't you put some options down below them for people to actually consider, so that they don't get snuck in later and say, well, you all didn't say anything about, you didn't want that kind of thing in here.
Well, the next slide is
Okay.
part of that. And that's why, like I said, this meeting is to present the information. The next meeting is to get responses on a lot of this stuff. Here's some photos. I think they're the ones on the right, I'm sorry, are less. I'm sorry? Was there? The picture on the left, the upper left, is the Sun Loft Center in Punta Gorda. It's got retail on the bottom floor, and it's got apartments. Are there offices in there, Deborah? Do you know? Okay. And the site on the bottom is in Baldwin Park in Orlando. That's a CVS on the bottom, and there are apartments above it. The site, so those are examples of mixed-use buildings where there's a mixture of uses within the building. The site on the pictures on the right, they're both of Coconut Point in Estero. This is not what we intend, or we have any intention of doing in Parkside, but it's a mixed-use site that I thought a lot of you would be familiar with. There's obviously the mall there, but there are condominiums in the back, and I think there in some areas there are condominiums above some of the stores. This is to provide the opportunity for a low intensity commercial development at Harbor and Midway. This is what I was when I mentioned the office, medical, and institutional zoning. So if such an area would be created, the idea would be to keep it in low-intensity uses, and to really limit the adverse impacts on surrounding properties. And doing that is, you can enhance the landscaping, you can make the design of the structures closely follow residential structures, and again, discourage certain uses that might not be appropriate. And these are 3 photos also of Baldwin Park in Orlando. These are all commercial. These are all commercial structures that have been designed to look like houses. There's a whole, essentially, neighborhood up there that is all commercial structures that were designed to look like houses. The allowing for the use of the revitalizing area planning incentive density for innovative housing redevelopment. Again, what areas would be appropriate? The core area for mixed use, that quarter-mile buffer, possibly for context-appropriate multifamily row houses or not apartment towers or anything, duplex development, something like that, and then not just to give it away, but that the density would be rewarded in return for doing other things, certain site size, certain uses, or other improvements that the developer would install that benefit the community at large, that they're rewarded for doing that. It's a trade-off that they do some of these things that the community has said it wants. In return, they get extra density. These are maps of Parkside showing one of them is the proposed sub-districts. The others are the zoning and the future land use maps. The one on the, this is wrong one. I really apologize for this. And they're really small. Okay. This one is the future land use map, and the red is commercial. The blue is institutional, so the hospitals are in that's public lands and institutional lands. The green, as you can see, this area here that's high density residential, and if you see there's a little pink area right here, that's medium density residential. That's up to 10 units per acre, whereas high density residential goes up to 15 units per acre. The medium density residential is up to 10 units per acre. On the left is the zoning map. The red again is commercial general. The purple is the office, medical, institutional. The dark blue is residential multifamily 15, and there's it's stripes, but this area up in there, that is, I think that is residential multifamily 10 units per acre to match the medium density residential. This policy about allowing non-conforming uses to be considered conforming under new land development regulations, there's an overlay that runs essentially the length of US 41 from the Sarasota County line down to Charlotte Harbor, and it allows, it has expanded the potential for commercial use. If you go down 41, the way the land was originally developed, the commercial district is essentially one lot deep, and then the lots behind it are residential. The modern commercial development usually needs a bigger depth than the one lot. So the US 41 overlay allows for commercial to expand into the deeper, but if there is an existing single-family house, if the zoning is changed, normally if the zoning is changed from, say, residential to commercial, there's a house on the property, it becomes very difficult to, you don't have to stop living in the house, but it becomes difficult to expand the house to, in some cases, put on a porch or a deck or something like that. But we've put in a policy that says those houses become legal, non-conforming structures. The language in the US 41 overlay says that those houses remain conforming structures so that they can continue to repair, can expand. There'd be similar language in that would apply to Parkside. This was homework about talking, thinking about these issues, and to come back at the next meeting, and I can also, we can talk about the plan, we can talk about anything that would go into the code. That was the intent. It probably will not be done in the one meeting, so we'll have more meetings if people want them. And that is my presentation. And my next slide is to open it up for questions. So,
Can I make 2 suggestions for the September 10th meeting?
absolutely.
One, if you could have a PA system. I'm hard of hearing, I've got hearing aids in, I sit in the front, and I really have missed half of the discussion. So I really think that that's almost essential that we have that. And the second is, there are many of us who have rather strong ideas of what should be happening and be in the code. And I suggest that we write those things down so that we can be presenting them and without confrontation or anything else, just be able to present them and have them and something that you can take away from the meeting. Those are my
I'd like to
suggestions.
add one to that. If a person wants to speak, they state their name and tell us where they live. And stand up. Here's your notes related.
Okay. Thank you. I do have, I did bring cards if people do have it. And I have pens. So if people have anything they want to actually write down today and give to me, you can. Yes, sir.
I hope that's not like, I didn't hear about Parkside for quite a while. In the first meeting I went to, no one was allowed to speak. They gave people sticky notes and they popped it up on the front wall, and no one was even able to give any input. When they say that the citizens in the community did that, that's a joke. But I hope you're not thinking of doing that when Tess suggested that we write it down. We need to be able to speak at these meetings.
No, I want to hear what people say, and it's important. It's important for me to hear what people say. It's important for everyone to hear whatever.
My name's Dave Kessering, for the record, and I live in Parkside. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I still don't understand why we need this, why we can't just leave things the way they are. I mean, what's not working
I agree.
the way it is.
Did you read page 2?
Page 2.
Would you read page 2 again? Why don't you read page 2? Okay? Right now, this is where it is right. If they start changing, fixing things up, improving it, the values of properties in here are going to go up. And that's what we're trying to do. Get the values of properties up, get better people. We're not trying to do
Explain to me, whose definition of light did they use? Because they did the same thing in Murdoch Village.
Where do you live?
On $175 million debt. They have not repaired sidewalks around here. I've lived in this area now for 12.5 years. They have not repaired one sidewalk. They have not paid the cement.
That's not true. They repaired ours on Aaron Street.
They haven't repaired ours on Easy Street.
Well, sorry.
They have not paid the roads. And yet they have other areas, the areas right around us, they pay twice.
And that still doesn't explain to me why we need it. I mean, it's nice to increase property value, but it's still not a need. I don't think that's a need.
Okay.
Also, why should it be up?
You got a council here.
Why should it be up?
Please. You leave it that way. What's the area going to look like?
Well, we already have code enforcement. But why would we have to change it?
I'm telling you, cut it or we're going to get
to fix theirs up. And it's gonna go right down the line. And it's happening. You just look around the areas, it's happening around here.
But we already, that's what I'm saying, we already have schools on books with code enforcement, so why do we ever have something to do in addition to that?
Well, you learn as you go. And the more you learn, the more you get.
Question? I
Yes.
was in a Massey Brothers home, and I don't understand the retention and reuse of, so what does that mean? I don't comprehend it.
It's, I mean, the object or the intent is to, a lot of those, those houses are old. They're, and the intent is to provide options for, repair and renovation of those houses, and the details obviously haven't been worked out yet. It's not, there's no intention to take anybody's house or make them do things. But what the purpose of this plan is to provide tools to allow the area, either through the actions of the county or the actions of the developer or the actions of a homeowner to be improved at a certain
Well, I've been doing my own improvements since Hurricane Charlie. I had that insurance that went belly up, and I've been having to do all these repairs myself. So I've been maintaining my house, putting on new awnings, and I'm constantly improving it myself out of my own pocket, with no help from the city or anybody.
Nice. Well,
So I'm unsure what you're talking about, reuse of the unique architectural structures.
I mean, the object, the intent is.
I'm talking about policy 2.2.2, retention of historical value.
I mean, I think that means to preserve the house you're in. So you're kind of following that policy. You've been improving it, you're retaining sort of the character of that house. So it's saying here that in some cases, those Mackle Brothers homes add to the character of the community. You want to retain them. You want to have people fix them up, and just to assure that kind of continues throughout. So you're following what this policy is written.
Oh, okay. Thank you for answering.
I have my own experience now fixing houses up in the Parkside area, and something I find is the county makes it seems like they make it as difficult as possible.
Sure.
I mean, you have to have permits for this, permits for that. And I understand you want quality workmanship done, but what I don't understand is why they have to have so many permits, so many different fees, and they got to make it so difficult.
Well, that's just Charlotte County. I've been in the building industry my entire life. We recommend that people do not build in Charlotte County because the building environment is so bad.
Exactly. Now, how do we change that is what I want to know.
You're not going to, because all the people in here voted for the same assholes again.
There you go.
Matt, you got a tough job. I feel bad.
I heard you use the word urban, and, I mean, your perception of urban may be different from mine and from others, depending on our background. But I know a lot of us came here to avoid the urban locality and the problems associated with, urban areas. Again, maybe your versions of urban is different. My question goes to, why are we using that terminology? Have the residents of Port Charlotte indicated they want an urban area?
I mean, there's,
I mean, whose brainchild, ultimately, whose brainchild it is, and that's what the board
That's
is
what I
there.
tried to ask.
Who's decided we need an urban area?
That's right.
Did you
You
want-
know, revitalization is one thing, urbanization is another.
You have a whole
And maybe
area.
that goes back to your definition of what is urban. Do you want a walkable community? Maybe that's the first question. Do you want a walkable community? Do you want to have services? I think you must have located in Parkside because it does have a lot of services. And when Mackle Brothers created this core area, they gave you what people in the suburbs, if you want to say the suburbs, are now looking for. They want to be able to get on their bicycle, or they want to be able to walk to get services. So I guess that's the first question, and that's what the Citizens Master Plan has outlined, is you want a walkable community, you want to maintain some services, you want to increase sort of the character, that sense of place, by putting in some more shade trees, putting in the multi-use paths. One day you wanted to have golf carts be allowed in the neighborhood, so it was easier to get around. You didn't need to be in your cars. So my definition of urban is probably that it's a walkable environment that has a mixture of uses and has a mixture of housing types. So if I don't want a single-family house because I'm getting old and I don't want to go out there and cut my grass, and I don't want to have to take my garbage cans out every night, I want to live in a condo or a townhouse and have somebody else that's going to take care of those things for me. But I want to be able to get out in the morning, walk over to Winn-Dixie, get a cup of coffee, and meet my friends. So I thought that's what the Citizens Master Plan had outlined for Parkside. And that's what's been adopted. And this plan here is to try and take that vision and further implement it into code so that you don't get someone that comes in here and says, oh, well, maybe I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in that manufacturing unit because there's no plan here. But now this is your plan to say, well, we don't want that. We want to maintain some character here, but we want to enhance it. And so if we're not hearing that, and that's not the message, then that's what will happen next in 2 weeks. But for right now, that's what this has all been based on, is what's been already adopted and what that urbanization is.
I have a question.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is the life expectancy of a house or a condo for a building? And who decides this? Does the commissioner decide this, or who does that?
Real estate appraisers decide it to some extent.
yeah, I mean, it's not, I mean, there's no official life expectancy of a building, but it's based on the materials that are used. Off the top of my head, I don't have.
Matt, I would say that would be the 50% rule. When it takes 50% to get it up to code, that's going to be the life expectancy.
But that is, yeah, in Florida, that's a good, that if it costs more than 50% of the value of the building to repair it.
I think that most of these Mackle Brother homes, I think they fared Charlie a lot better than some of the newer ones.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Why can't we bring these updated and,
Well, and that's what the policy, the one policy about renovating and reusing those houses is about. It's about, this is one of the oldest areas in Port Charlotte. It got, the houses started getting built here in the early 60s, and they've lasted. And so it doesn't necessarily make sense to get rid of them, but to make it so that it's easier to renovate them, it's easier to expand them, so that those houses can still be kept and can be lived in and can continue on for another 50 years. Sir, yes.
I keep hearing the argument of the 50% rule. Instead of expending all this energy on this stuff, why don't we get rid of that property rights violating law to start with, and people could actually fix their homes up the way they want and expand them and do what they want to do on their own property? That's sick.
Well, that is
50%
part of the Florida
rule.
building code
That needs to be changed.
is outside the power of the county to change.
Actually, there's a way around that.
Is
You
there?
just designate the area as historic. My name's Rick Gaiman, I live on Hernando, and I've been through 4 neighborhoods I've lived in, going through basically the same thing, one in Atlanta, one in Augusta, Georgia, and one in St. Augustine and now here. You designate the area historic, and then nothing against you, but I just say bye-bye to the county after that. You're done, you can't touch a thing.
Well, I mean, it's not
Then it goes
the,
straight to the state.
it's not
And we do
the,
away with the county.
I mean, it's not the intent of, there's no intent to designate this area as a
I
historic.
understand, but and some of the things on here, a lot of the stuff that everybody said and the things that are on here, I love, I really agree with. There's only 2 things on this that scare the hell out of me. And that is, the one, and you even had pictures of the low intensity commercial at Midway and Harbor. First off, only one side of Midway and Harbor is in Parkside, the other side is not. So you can't change that with this. And that's all homes, that's residential. It is homes, no matter what you say, it's homes. And then you just put up slides right there and showed me pictures of what we could put there. Somebody owns a home there that you're going to have to move out of to build the CVS with a house over top of it. And then you also talked about with changing the changing from single family to multifamily and stuff like that, all the way out into the so-called green zone. I live in the green zone. I like the houses behind me. I don't want townhouses behind me. I mean, and how many people are going to have to sell to build something? Are you going to have to? People are going to have to sell out a whole block, or can you just take one side of the street and then all of a sudden we want townhomes? I mean, I don't want townhomes across the street from me. I like my neighbors.
I think what we're all trying to tell you is we want to get this fixed up, but we don't want to do the extent of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Very good.
One of the biggest things is there has to be, and this is what has to be done. Somewhere in here, somebody has to get something written up, and whether it's our commissioner, who she showed up tonight, but something has to be written up, and something has to be done with the rentals. We need some sort of just a single map. If you want to own a home in Parkside and rent it out, you have to go through this management company to do it, and have that management company responsible for all of it. And they should be the ones passing along the fines to people that aren't keeping their places up and the places looking like crap.
Look at
Absolutely
look at the current ordinances you have in place right now. Okay, I just remodeled one. Okay, to code, by the way. Our property is fine. Okay, we have a low income rental. All right, you're going to wind up pushing a lot of people out of here with this great grandiose Parkside.
Oh, I understand.
Now, if the grass gets high, code enforcement, you hire another half dozen and let them slam them like crazy. Go after the landlords. You've got the laws in place. And by the way, if a tenant complains, I'll post the number to my tenants. Go right to the county and get the county to come after me to make things right. I mean, I react immediately to a tenant complaint. Therefore, I get my rent on time, They're good tenants, They appreciate the little Mackle home that, by the way, did survive Charlie just fine. But, when you went draconian measures, like a whole new set of laws for an owner, and by the way, I live pretty damn close, so I do check the property regularly. It's another thing. You've got absentee owners over there,
Right, so you're one in
We
in how
manage
many
our
of
own
thousands?
No, I met another guy across the street.
No, I mean, but you're one in a million
That's right.
landlords.
Let the county.
We have
That's it.
laws in place to manage, to
You
take
have the
care of
laws
the
in place.
deadbeat landlords. We don't need new laws and more laws for the deadbeat
She's an
landlords.
appraiser and a realtor, licensed in the state of Florida, and I want to turn over the ability to rent this house to a management company, which I used when I was remote, and had it stuck in my ear when I was a snowbird,
We pay about 3 times.
till I
too much for
retired.
the roof.
And as far as that, for designating one management company to handle all of Parkside, that would actually be an antitrust issue because property management is regulated by the Florida Real Estate Commission, as you know. And even in some of these communities where they have exclusive like say, take for example that trailer park out on Kings Highway. They have Allison James, I believe, is the real estate company that's the main one in that park. But that doesn't stop, say, Century 21 or Thomas Ryan from coming in and servicing a lot of the properties. They just have to have an office in there. Antitrust says they can't do that, actually.
I have my camera license.
How will the county ever go after a management company any different than they come after me as an owner?
Well,
As
the
a
county,
property- How can they do what's the difference? I watched one across the street in my unlighted neighborhood that I live in, all right? Turn over, okay? The house just went to crap, all right? Police were regular visits, all right? Management company did nothing. The poor owner was in New York or whatever. His hands were tied.
well, that's,
I don't understand
well,
how that is going to really make a difference.
there's no proposal in this plan to have a.
Well, what is this?
There's a
County shall invest-
Rental
property,
property management ordinance.
but that would be the county doing that, not hiring,
But the county's not. That's, I mean, I'm
The
not
county's
for anything, you know, for somebody to, but the problem is that I'm just looking for a solution for someone to do it. If it's the county, great. But I pay my taxes and I'm not getting crap for it as far as I'm concerned. They're not taking care of it. They're not doing it. I mean, I have 2 houses down from me. She's a very nice lady. It's a Habitat house. She cuts her grass once a month. It's ridiculous. I've called the county. They don't care.
well, that's unfortunate because I know that we've been trying to increase our code enforcement in Parkside. We hired an additional code enforcement officer for Parkside.
Have him contact me and I'll ride him around and point out the code violations. It's not hard.
Now, our code enforcement is complaint driven. The county does not drive around looking for code violations. They're only investigated when they're reported.
No, okay, but you know who does? Building inspector.
Guys,
Do they?
Parkside, they
launch
actually,
a letter in Parkside proactive.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you give us the number, we'll make sure that, if you give us the address, we'll make sure we pass it on to Ron. It does take time, as you know, there is a process, you have to give them time to go out and cut the
Oh, I know the lady I call by name. I
So
mean,
you know,
so-
Rhonda, okay, so I guess if you know the number, then you've got it covered, but we'll check into it. I think there is another.
Yes.
Man, I've got to say, and I'd like to, Susan Swans, I live in Parkside. The additional low-intensity commercial development, I had a discussion with somebody in community development about this. And when I asked, why would you put commercial at Midway and Harbor, the answer to me was, well, you need a convenience store, a coffee shop, or something. I said, wait a minute, you have it right down the street. And this person did not know that. Now that's scary, since they were the ones that came up with this. So my question to everybody here is, first of all, why is it still on here? Because at the last Parkside meeting in 2012, nobody wanted the commercial development there. And I would just like to put it out for the spirit. Do you guys think it's really beneficial to have that?
No. We don't get to
The
vote.
first meeting here, we all put our stickers up on the board. There's a board somewhere. And I don't think anybody paid any attention to them.
No.
I really don't. Is this the first meeting?
I was at the meeting with the stickers. I don't know.
Yeah,
First
stickers. Put them up on the board.
So I guess what we heard you say tonight is you're not interested in having that low-density commercial at Midway and, right? Okay, so we can,
We'll pull it.
we'll put it at the next meeting, you can have another map that shows it's not on there, or we can just exit out tonight. When we come back here in 2 weeks, we'll see if there's any other things you want to change. That work for you?
Can we just fix up what we have and make everybody do it? And put the sidewalks that we need, fix the streets like they need. That's all we need. That's all we need. And we'll get rid of the problem.
All right, that's an option. I guess the thing we'd like you to do, to think about, if you just look at this core area, right now you've got just commercial, there's some residential in here now, right? But they're the condos that are there. So do you want to just create it as a mixed-use district, or do you just want to leave the same thing? you want to bring those, at least the condos that are at 15 units per acre, but they're zoned or under the 10 units per acre, we'd like to bring them up so that they're actually legally there, let's say. So let's look at this. If you don't have an interest in increasing any density here, if you want to keep this all single family, then we can get rid of this quarter mile. So, you know, it might only be this area or it may be nothing, you know. So let's see. If you don't want any rapid density in here, if you don't want to increase the density, then we'll just look at what policy there's any.
I mean, I know that it hasn't always worked, that other issues in the county haven't worked this way, but I do want to hear what you have to say, and I will put it into the plan.
I've always understood, and I agree with, the beautification. Let's landscape, let's do the sidewalks, let's make things walkable. Okay? No, Susan, to bring this thing back, but go enforce the codes. Get the sheriff to run the drug dealing out of there, okay? Take McGuire Park and rebuild it, and it's already in the plan. Okay? No, and this changing densities and getting builders, how much do you have to go in that space to get building on that? I mean, what's the enticement for a builder to go in and, well, I'm gonna do some higher density development, okay? Oh, by the way, I want 6 stories. I can't lose it. Just keep with, okay, the initial, what I understand to be the initial plan. Duffy fought like crazy for the gateway, okay? Tried to fight off the car lots. I'm not even changing right off that 31. It is what it is.
I know.
What you say about the car lot, I went here.
Anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Oh, yes, sorry.
The red zone.
Yes.
It's not that easy to get the drugs out of our houses.
We can have Deputy Miller come up in a few minutes if you want. Let's just wrap up this conversation, and then I wanted to make a couple other announcements, and I'm sure Deputy Miller would be happy to give you an update on what's been.
We weren't in on the beginning of this whole thing because we didn't own our property until later. But the red, she just asked, what do you want to do? Just work on the red zone? Well, those are businesses and condos in the red zone. Why do you want, and you're talking $30-some million, and I don't know where you're going to get that money from, because I haven't been in on this since its inception, but why would the residents and the property owners pay for commercial establishments and condo establishments to improve their properties?
We're not talking about putting any money in there. We're talking about the code, land development code. That's all we're talking about.
The CRA has got some money somewhere.
Right, but when we're at this meeting for the revitalization plan, what it has to do with is the comprehensive plan and land development code. So that's what this focus is. And when I was referring back to going to that core area, you took off the colors on the map that we have here tonight, get rid of the purple, you get rid of the green, then the question is, because I haven't heard everybody say, let's not consider mixed use, but if you want to not even do the red area, we maybe don't end up not even doing a revitalization.
Would I apply for a variance if I wanted to build in the core area? I wanted to build something that is not zoned for it. Wouldn't I go and apply for a variance? I've done it in other states. Okay?
You'd have to apply.
And sometimes you're granted and sometimes you're not.
Well, it might have to be a comprehensive plan change.
Well, comprehensive plan is also a stack deck, the 2050 plan, all right?
Well, as you know, we've made some changes with that, and this would be part of that comprehensive plan. So when you look at the uses, and maybe everybody can take some time over the next few weeks and just see that boundary that Matt's got on the map there, and see if there's any benefit in looking at that. Just take a few minutes and drive around.
Okay.
You cut me off. You talked about what the Mackle Brothers homes were, and you thought that it was a place for people to walk from and be a walking community. As far as I know of the history of it, the Mackle Brothers homes were put in for blue-collar people from up north to buy for their Florida vacation homes, to come down here and be snowbirds in. And,
No, they're for retirement.
And retirement, that's exactly.
okay,
That's
well,
right.
In-laws came down for retirement.
Yes.
2 people.
two
Not
people.
families.
Oh, yeah, they were small houses, right, right.
So what's the question?
Well, she was talking about people coming down here, or moving into these homes so that they could walk around the neighborhood and take their golf carts places.
Absolutely.
Well,
No,
why do you
go
have
the
to,
store.
to go to the store? Well, if they want to take their golf carts, make a lawn, let them take their golf carts. But, you know, some of this stuff is just overkill. It's way far-reaching government into our pockets, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. We already have zoning regulations in place, like you said. You can apply for variation. Do you have property in the Parkside neighborhood?
I do not.
Do you?
Legal part?
Who put this all together? Who does?
Nobody. The people that put this together have.
It's
they
government.
have-
Yeah. This is a done deal.
This was a culmination of all different meetings of science people
Yeah.
and information and input from all different
I
people.
heard here
We need to
tonight,
vote.
some of the planning sessions where the public or the residents came out. Whatever happened to little stickies that were put up, and
I think that's what's on here. That's what this is.
I said don't do it.
well, we
Yeah.
haven't talked about this. That's one of the
That's
problems.
what they want to discuss, and they want to find out what your feelings are and what they want to nix off. We already nixed one off. We nixed off the Midway Arbor.
Well, this is a small minority of the people in the Parkside area.
Very.
Why don't the people get to vote for this? Instead of the commissioners being the only ones to vote for it.
Okay, West Spring Lake Sewers, I'll go back to that. CCU put out over 2,000 ballots, straight up yes or no, okay?
Mail them.
They got 1,100 back, and there's a fair amount of undeveloped lots. 1,100 returned, 900 voted down, no, we do not want sewers. 200, yeah, I want sewers. What happened to majority rules? You know what CCU did with that? This was a mailed out ballot, and it's record, and we have it in hard copy. They buried it. I don't even think they
And
mentioned
then
it to the
started their
commissioners.
stakeholders procedure.
Then they drummed up a stakeholders. If you look who sat at
Stakeholders are the Board of
were
Realtors
contractors, engineering companies, okay? was
Chamber of
right,
Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, real estate, just,
And 3 maybe members on the,
and no one
who
looked
lived in the
at
neighborhood.
scientific data, okay? That went all the way to state level. Nobody did due diligence, okay, because CCU's in financial trouble. Who wants this? This CRA is going to be funded from tax money on out years. Is that not correct, Matt?
It's,
Is it not going to be funded by property taxes, okay, in out years? In other words, you're going
For
to
a long
spend
time.
35 mil up front to get it back, maybe 30 years from now.
there's
Well, that's
what's called
kind of
the tax increment financing, where, yes, the taxes collected within Parkside will be used to pay for improvements in
So now, I
Parkside.
pay property taxes now, okay, on a piece of property that's not homesteaded, because I don't live in it, I happen to rent it, okay? So my taxes are gonna go up, okay? What does that do? That pushes
Drives
the rent
rents up.
higher for the people that
It drives your
are having
temperature.
trouble with the water bill, to be honest with you, okay, because they have sewers in there. And the sewers, the infrastructure in Parkside should be looked at very heavily
They're redoing
before
it
you
on
do
top
any
of it.
beautification. You got your sewers are coming apart there. Look at Sunrise Lake.
Yep. Sunshine.
Okay, now you
Sunshine
piled
Lake's
up
up
$4
as
million to pump out that lake, which is the back end of McGuire Park. And it's a nice park, okay, except it needs some injection of some funds.
Some maintenance.
And it needs some more policing, I think, at nights.
Okay, so maybe we want to wrap it up. It's almost 10 to 7. We wanted to try and stay on time. We've got the meeting on the 10th, and it is scheduled to start at 5:30. So we'll try to get the TV reporters to report the correct time. I know one anchor had it on at 5 o'clock. I do want to invite you all on September 2nd. The Elkham Boulevard project is having a groundbreaking ceremony that is going to be at McGuire Park. That will be a CCU project with an enhancement component, which will bring in that multi-use path on one side of the street and some landscaping. So that's really sort of the kickoff project of the enhancements as far as the bike and ped. That's at 9 a.m. on the 2nd of September at Dwyer Park. Also, that project, they're going to be having a informational meeting on LCAM, so you understand how they're going to be changing some of the traffic flow, and that is going to take place on September 11th. And that'll be at the Cultural Center too. There'll be an announcement made, and we'll remind you on the 10th. I believe that meeting starts at 4 o'clock here at the Cultural Center. And that'll run, it'll be like an open house. You can come in and get some information so you understand what that project will entail. And if you live on LCAM, it's very important that you come to that meeting so you understand what will be happening during that construction phase. And then with that, I'll ask Deputy Miller if he's got any updates that they'd like to share.
This is your time, guys. I mean, this year because I've been here from the beginning of this whole thing. I've seen a lot. I've seen change. I've seen change. Anybody else see change out there? Is it getting better? For the better. Yes. Are we taking care of the business? Are we taking pride of ownership of our homes? We're getting involved. Are we getting involved in Neighborhood Watch? I see people in here from Neighborhood Watch, right? And you guys know, you guys know that you can come to me with issues. Sorry, you're a builder, you say? Yep. Live on Hernando? I'll give you my card. I mean, you can tell me, yeah, you have to use a drug house over here, and and I'll tell you what to do. I'll instruct you how we handle those situations. And I could ask anybody in this room that's part of Neighborhood Watch how successful we've been at moving these people along one way or the other, right? Don? Yes. Have we moved people? If anybody move from Hernando to I don't know, Gibraltar? They're moving. They're not taking advantage of the people that they were taking advantage of. These poor people here, eating over at night, plugging into their electric because their electric is off. Their water is off. So they're stealing somebody's water over here that lives up north, and they're stealing Granny's electric over here, and that's what they do. And I really take that personally. And I go out there and we ride bikes around. You guys see us on bikes. And we try to get everything. But, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of houses, there's a lot of problems, and it's going to take a long time, a little bit of time, I shouldn't say a long time, to resolve. And some of the issues will never be resolved, but we can control them. Now, communication from you guys to me, to the sheriff's office, to code enforcement. I'm one person, and I pass information along to the squads and the sergeants and everybody else. I say, hey, look into this tonight, and stay over here. Join Neighborhood Watch if you can. I mean, it's a good thing. We have 6 of them throughout Parkside. It would be kind of like this. It would be kind of so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down here. Now, some of them are stronger than others, but I think it's a wonderful application between, I'll be a liaison for you guys between law enforcement and the citizens of this area. And I just want to say I'm open, my door's open to everybody. Just if you know somebody that knows me, get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get some license plates on these cars that are coming and going. Let's get times. Let's watch them a little bit. Let's not approach them. And we know a lot of people in that area are dealing drugs. We do know that. And we're trying to make it a little bit better for y'all. And Susan, I mean, you've been here from the inception too. We're trying to make it a better quality of life for you guys. I don't live in Parkside, but I take it personally. When somebody is stealing electric from people that can't defend themselves, I'll defend them. I'll be out there and I'll be the hero. I don't care. You guys can lean on us for that kind of stuff, but also lean on each other and lean on yourselves, because that's what it's going to take to get that back from all these undesirables. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Any more questions for me? In a passion speech?
I appreciate what you've done with the watch, the neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
Could you have possibly implemented that without a $35 million beautification project? You probably could have, right?
Could we have?
You could have done it, right?
People will call the sheriff's office and they will say, hey, you know what, can we get something together here? And then we instruct them how to do it. And if it's successful, if it takes off, great. A lot of times they fail because people aren't willing to put the time in, or they don't want to be seen as a snitch. But I couldn't answer that question. It is what it is right now. Anybody else?